No, so it is November 2014, and I have just made a very long commute from Square Victoria up the Orange Line all the way through an industrial park in Laval on a bus to St. Rose. I now live on a street where all the houses look the same, but it's been a few weeks, so I know how to recognize which one I live in without looking at the number. And my cat, Bree, she's learned my routine as well, so as I approach the door, she's in the little window, her little face. She's ready for our post-work ritual, where I lie down on one of my roommate's leather sofas. She curls up on my chest and purrs, and I just decompress and leave my workday behind. Only this day, my roommate gives me an envelope that says, Service des Jugements. There's only one jugement I've been waiting for. It's why I'm living here, actually. It's my divorce. I'll be 28 in a few weeks, and freshly divorced. Wonderful. It's funny how moving places didn't make that real enough. It took a piece of paper from the government. So I just want to hide up in my rented room and do my hermit thing, but my roommate says, well, I have a couple of friends coming over. They're nice people. There will be wine. So I decide to hang out. And they're lovely. One of them's a librarian, and they're pretty cool. We're having talks, we're having nice conversation. I'm a glass ahead of everybody else. And then comes the inevitable question that I've answered a 1,000 times, like, what brought you to Quebec? Well, I met this guy on OkCupid, and we did a long distance thing for a while, which was a really great time to trade songs. He got me into shiny toy guns. He got me into Pierre Lapointe. And then once I moved here, I came home from work one day, and he's like, you gotta listen to this, you're gonna love it. Sat me down in front of the music video of Monsters and Men's Little Talks. Lodged in my brain forever, thank you. So I start to tell him, well, this guy sounds wonderful, why aren't you still together? Well, I'm from the South, there's some toxic masculinity down there. I had these ideas of what a marriage should be, instead of like talking to my partner about what we want our marriage to be together. So, kind of sort of destroyed that and messed things up and really got like isolated inside myself to where I couldn't speak to my husband. And the cheating didn't help. So I'm really starting to get down on myself. I'm feeling like a failure. And they're like, no, it's fine. Most people in Quebec don't even marry. And they decide we're gonna raise a toast. We're gonna raise a toast to life begins after divorce. And I'm like, okay, yes. So we toast, I'm feeling good, they go home. My roommate goes upstairs and goes to sleep. I go up to the bathroom. And then I'm really in my feelings. Because happy drunk went like to sad drunk. And I'm trying to I'm like reviewing the past 7 years and all the ways that I messed up, all the things. And it's not just the marriage, I moved here from Louisiana to be with this guy, relationship over, what am I doing here? What am I doing in this bathroom that, I thought, by 28, I would have a gorgeous house, like a degree and a house and this beautiful corner bathtub with jets. This gorgeous bathroom sink where I could put all of my shaving equipment and not knock anything over. But no, instead of having a mortgage, I'm paying rent to someone so he can pay his mortgage. But it's fine. So I go on Bear 411 on my phone. Now, if you don't know, bears are big guys, hair optional, but a lot of us are hairy. I don't subscribe to this muscle bear shit. No, if you go to the gym and you're ripped, no, leave bear for us fat people, okay? We have so few things. And it's for bears looking for one-on-one. Alternate configurations possible, I've heard. But since I'm in my feelings, I'm looking at all these profile pictures and I'm like, no, I'm not really feeling anything. But ooh, I have a message. I go to look at my message. I see a familiar face. It's my ex-husband. How are you? Now, we stopped talking 3 weeks ago because obviously at some point in the divorce it gets awkward to keep texting, and I decided that I needed to move on and draw a boundary. But the problem is when you've built your life with someone for 7 years, you have so many inside jokes and your own little personal language that when you cut contact, it's like, shit, everything reminds me of him, and I can't tell the one person who would get all of it. So I sob in the bathroom, just at this, how are you? And when I think that there are no more tears to cry, I give him a call. His voice is familiar, but it's in this weird new context. And we start talking, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is worth it. We can talk, we can text. We start having visits back and forth. My roommate, and some part of me knows that he's right, but my roommate is saying it's not such a great idea because it's a little too fresh. And I'm like, but the sex has never been better. So we're seeing each other and getting entwined, and I'm dealing with this whole feeling of failure, and I cannot stop apologizing to him about destroying the marriage, which eventually I can see it's annoying him. And then there's the familiarity where it's like, but it feels so good, and it's in this novel circumstance. But eventually, the words "I love you" are trying to escape from my mouth. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, no, I made the decision to end this relationship. I need to be moving on. I need to be finding out who I am outside of the relationship instead of like getting sucked back into this pattern. So yeah, as I'm in this bathroom in my feelings, I'm thinking of some of the music that I got to discover by myself. There's this Stars album, In Our Bedroom After the War. But now I'm in our bathroom. It's not our bathroom, but there was a war. There were fights. So I'm trying to sort of figure out who I am. I'm trying to get away from this "I love you" feeling, and I end up meeting some other guy, and we have a connection. It's not quite as musical. That's okay. But as I'm seeing this new guy texts with the ex-husband, get a little strained. I don't think it's a romantic jealousy. I think he's just jealous of the time and energy that I'm no longer giving to him, which, fair. But by the time spring 2015 comes around, we've gone no contact again. Now, my roommate, we also have a musical connection. He took me to a Purity Ring concert at Metropolis. That was super fun. He was on Grindr the whole time, but I was enjoying it. And then, so yeah, he's excited because Osheaga's coming up, Osheaga 2015. And I'm like, okay, cool. There's some bands. There's Florence and the Machine. There's of Monsters and Men. Stromae is coming. It's Papa Ute was like all over. But Stromae got sick or something and couldn't make it and was ultimately going to be replaced by Stars. And I'm like, okay, cool. I bet they sound great live. So we go, and I haven't overly analyzed if someone with a nervous disposition like mine is going to be comfortable at a music festival, but we go, and there are so many people. And there are so many stages, but our strategy, we're parking on the hill in front of the two main stages. The acts will alternate one stage to the other, and I can just stay here, except when it's time to go get food or go to the porta potty. So, Stars is wonderful. I have no idea what they played, but they were wonderful. And I was thinking, when I get home, I really need to get deeper into their discography. And then of Monsters and Men, I have this moment where my ego just dissolves entirely, and I'm like, no, I'm one with all these people, and we are all here together, and we're all singing the same words. And it's great. And then Florence, she literally wants you to lift people up onto your shoulders and raise them up. And it's no one, I stay on the ground, thank you. But it's wonderful to see all of this. And as we leave, I'm not gonna talk about how getting out of there took forever, but we leave. And I remember my promise to myself, and I remember, okay, yes, I will listen to more of Stars. So I'm looking them up. They have this other album, Set Yourself on Fire, which sounds a little bit dramatic. And then you start it, and in the first track, there's this dramatic, recitation is not the right, it's an invocation. This voice that says, when there's nothing left to burn, you have to set yourself on fire. And I'm like, well, shit, I burned the marriage. Is it time for self-immolation? Is that where we are? And so I put it on, and it's wonderful. It's this chance meeting between two people who may or not remember each other's names. They share a cab ride, and then it goes into musings about moving on and finding real love. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, so yeah, maybe I did fail, and maybe I'm thousands of miles from where I grew up, but I am here, and I want to be a new person, and I want to figure out who that person is. And I feel like I'm in this reverie for like an hour, but when I come to, the song hasn't even ended. And it's great, because I'm just in time to catch the words that make it all okay, that make me able to move on with my life as a divorced gay person. And those words go, there's one thing I want to say, so I'll be brave. You were what I wanted. You were what I wanted. I gave what I gave. I'm not sorry I met you. I'm not sorry it's over. I'm not sorry there's nothing to save. Thank you.
When there's nothing left to burn, you have to set yourself on fire.
nothing but time and a face you can't lose. I chose